Ever wonder why the summers of your childhood felt like they lasted forever, but now entire years just disappear in the blink of an eye? It's a feeling we all know, right? A real mystery we've all thought about. Well, today, we're going to dive in and explore the science behind why our perception of time seems to stretch and shrink as we go through life.
We've all heard this one, a watched pot never boils. But you know, it's so much more than just a saying about being patient. Think of it as our very first clue. It points to a fundamental truth. The time on the clock and the time inside your head are two totally different things. And today, we're going to figure out exactly why that is.
Right here. This is the scene of the crime. The mystery we're investigating today is simple. Where did all that time go? It honestly feels like it's been stolen from us. But the culprit isn't some force out there in the world. It turns out the clues are hidden deep inside our own minds.
All right, so let's officially open the case. In this first part, we're going to examine the evidence and get a really clear picture of what this feeling of lost time actually looks like, right down to the nitty-gritty of our own perception.
So here's the heart of the problem, right? When we're kids, pretty much everything is new. The world is this giant, unexplored place, so every single day is just packed with these unique mental snapshots. But as adults, well, routine kicks in. Our minds process fewer new images, even if our schedules are jam-packed. And that difference, that's the real reason time feels like it's hitting the fast-forward button.
But to really get why this happens, we need to get a bit more granular. We need to look at the actual mechanics of how we perceive the world. We're going to look for clues hidden in the machinery of our own perception. Okay, so this is a really crucial clue. We have to draw a line between clock time, the objective, measurable 24 hours in a day, and what physicist Adrian Bejan calls mind time. You see, mind time isn't this smooth, flowing river. Nope. It's actually a series of distinct images, kind of like the individual frames of a movie. The speed at which we see those frames, that is the key to solving this whole thing. And this is how that movie gets made in our heads. What we think of as the smooth, continuous reality, it's actually a clever illusion. Your eyes are constantly doing this incredible three-step dance. First, they fixate, pausing for just a fraction of a second to grab information. Then, they make a super fast leap, that's a saccade, to a new spot. And finally, your brain, like a master editor, stitches all these still images together. And it happens so fast we don't even notice.
Let's really zoom in on that word saccades. Think of them as the unsung heroes of your vision. These are the lightning-fast jumps your eyes make to scan everything around you. A healthy adult makes, get this, 3 to 5 of these every single second. It's like your brain has an internal camera shutter, just clicking away to capture the world. And the speed of that shutter is a really vital clue. And this is where it gets super relatable. A well-rested mind. Take a pro athlete, right before a big game, can process more images, more details. For them, time actually seems to slow down. They can see the ball before it arrives. But a tired mind, like a student pulling an all-nighter for an exam, gets the exact opposite effect. The internal shutter speed slows way down, and clock time just flies by. It's amazing, right? Rest literally buys you more time.
All right, we've gathered all our clues from the world of perception. Now, it's time for the big reveal. We are about to unmask the prime suspect behind our accelerating years, and believe it or not, the answer isn't in psychology, it's in physics. Our prime suspect is actually governed by something called the Constructal Law. Now that sounds super complicated, I know, but the core idea is actually pretty simple. It basically says that any flow system, whether it's a river delta or the neural network in your brain, will naturally evolve to create more complex, branching paths to make it easier for things to flow. And this is what that process actually looks like inside our own heads. As we grow and learn, our neural networks get bigger and way more intricate, just like a river delta branches out over thousands of years. But this means that the electrical signals carrying our mental images now have a longer, more complex road to travel before they get processed. And this, right here, is the absolute heart of the mystery. That bigger, more complex network, combined with the natural wear and tear on our neural pathways as we age, creates more resistance. What that means is, the signals, they literally move slower. So the rate at which our mind can process new images, you can call it our internal frame rate, it actually slows down as we get older. So let's put it all together. Just take a look at this. When we're young, we perceive a huge number of new mental images in any given 24-hour period. But when we're older, we perceive far fewer. Since our mind time is measured in the number of images we see, not in seconds, that same 24 hours of clock time feels drastically shorter. The clock on the wall ticks the same, but our experience of it is totally different.
And there you have it. Case closed. Okay, so the mystery is solved. But now what? What's the verdict? Is there anything we can actually do about it? Well, in this final section, let's see if we can use what we've learned to reclaim some of that lost time. So, first things first, a word of caution for our modern lives. The science points out that all this digital fatigue we experience, from staring at screens, from social media, from not getting enough sleep, can actually create neurological conditions that are a lot like aging. This constant exhaustion can slow down our saccades and blur our time. It's basically making our internal clock age faster than it should.
So what's the antidote to all this? You can think of it as a kind of neurohygiene protocol. First, embrace novelty. New, surprising experiences demand more of our brain's attention, and so they feel like they last longer. Second, you've got to prioritize deep rest. We already saw how a rested mind processes more detail. Third, practice focused attention. By truly watching the pot, you force your mind to process more frames of that one event. And finally, limit that digital fatigue. Keep your internal shutter speed quick and sharp.
This quote from the research really drives home a critical point. Our brains need downtime for something called unconscious feature integration. Just think about it. It's the time your brain needs to sort and file and actually make sense of all the images it's just taken in. To have a richer experience of time, we have to give our brains those little breaks to process, instead of just constantly bombarding it with more and more stuff.
You know, when you boil it all down, it comes to this really simple but kind of profound idea. Our lives aren't just measured by the clock on the wall, but by the collection of mental images we manage to capture along the way. And knowing that, well, it leaves us with a pretty big question. How are you going to frame your next moment?